of its nationals were on board. 100 days after doctors in Kenya went on strike, the Ministry of Health says a deal to end the deadlock is imminent. However, the medical workers' representatives have not spoken yet, and some analysts say the government statement could be seen as a way to force their hand. Several attempts to end the strike have failed, with both sides accusing each other of not being honest. Last week, the government announced that it was withdrawing a pay offer with President Uhuru Kenyatta, accusing officials of the doctors' union of blackmailing the authorities. It has also started sacking doctors who have not returned to work, saying that it will replace them with foreign doctors. The latest attempt to bring the two sides together is being mediated at the Court of Appeal, which gave both sides 24 hours to agree on a deal. So let's get more on this story from a Kenyan journalist, Teddy Otieno. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Teddy. So how true is it that the government is about to reach a deal with striking doctors?
Well, yes, indeed. They're still locked in a meeting. It's a closed-door meeting where the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors are holed up in a meeting over the strike on its 100th day today. But ideally, they're still deliberating on the matter. We have seen representatives from the doctors' union, a representative and the lawyer. They just walked out, and not to indicate that there's still a stalemate, but they just walked out with a few documents which they say they really need to peruse and deliberate further. But as it's seen right now, they're still locked in that closed-door meeting, and we're hoping that something will come out of it.
Now, we understand some doctors have been sacked over this strike. Are there plans, perhaps, to reinstate them?
Well, yes, indeed. Just to give you a quick brief, sometime last week the government ordered that they're going to get doctors from foreign countries, doctors from Cuba and Tanzania, to be specific. But then again, they rescinded on that decision, pending the deliberations on this evening's talks. So still awaiting. But then again, those who are sacked last week, because the governors now in each and every county or state, if I may use that word, the governors now are forced to send a directive that all who will not have reported to work will face the axe. But then ideally now the talks today will also give a headway. We're going to get a clear way to understand if indeed that directive to have them sacked will be effected from today. But then as it stands, we still have the county hospitals that are public hospitals and not functional. We still have our doctors out there. They're still not reporting to work. Over to you.
So how are ordinary Kenyans on the streets reacting to this strike, and what effect has it had on the country's health sector?
Well, you know, as it is right now, the country's health sector is paralyzed because a significant portion of Kenyans cannot afford basic medical care. They cannot be able to pay for They cannot be able to pay for what I should call the private hospitals. Yeah, they cannot be able to pay for the services of the private hospitals, and a cross-section of Kenyans are quite disappointed. They no longer want this stalemate to keep brushing them off, because now it is a situation where even the basic Kenyans cannot even be able to afford healthcare anymore. So as it stands right now, Kenyans are actually a disappointed lot. They're asking the government.
Well, Teddy Otieno, a Kenyan journalist, has been speaking to us on the doctor strike in the country. Thank you, Teddy, for joining us on Network Africa. The Egyptian Attorney General has ordered the release of former President Hosni Mubarak after an appeals court earlier this month acquitted the country's ex-leader of involvement in the killing of protesters during the 2011 uprising. Mubarak's release was ordered after the Attorney General accepted a petition by the former president's lawyer for his freedom on the basis of time already served. Back in April 2011, an Egyptian prosecutor ordered Mubarak's detention for 15 days, pending an investigation into charges of corruption and abuse of power. The former president subsequently was tried for murdering hundreds of protesters who demonstrated against his rule in 2011. A criminal court ruled in May 2015 to imprison Mubarak for 3 years following his conviction of embezzling millions of Egyptian pounds set aside for the maintenance of the presidential palaces. The 88-year-old spent most of his time detained at a military hospital in Cairo. Meanwhile, Cairo's population is set to grow by 500,000 this year, more than any other city in the world. This, analysts say, will add to the pressure on the economy, which is struggling to recover from 6 years of political turmoil.
Cairo's population is set to grow more than that of any other city in the world this year. That's according to a Euromonitor International report released last week. Mohamed Abdel Galil, an advisor to the official statistics agency CAPMAS, says the report is groundbreaking. This rate is unprecedented because it's double the rate of natural increase in developing countries like ours, which usually fall between 1.2 or 1.3% and 5 times the rate of developed countries. Take China. People always ask, how do people live in China? China's national population increase is 0.5. Ours is 2.5. Ours is 5 times that of China. Stinging poverty in southern Egypt leads many families to have several children in the hope that they can become sources of income. Those children eventually migrate to larger cities for job opportunities scarce in their hometowns. Mesa Shelki, the head of the National Population Council, says that awareness campaigns at universities and schools have begun as part of a national population strategy.
An important point of focus is youth. Egypt's population is a very young one. The youths are the drivers of the present and future, and therefore they need to be involved very strongly in this issue. They need to learn about it, and they also need to be a part of spreading awareness. Also, it affects them the most because they are the ones getting married.
Meanwhile, internal migration is one of the main causes of overpopulation in Cairo. Egypt lists 351 slums as unsafe, most of them in the sprawling capital, where the poorest have built ramshackle homes and lack basic amenities such as main sewage and water.
Yeah. Somalis gather in the capital Mogadishu to pray for rain amid a severe drought in the country. Stay with us for details.